Good morning and welcome to a special one-hour edition of Inside Tennessee. This is an important election. I'm your moderator, John Becker, and this May, voters will elect a new sheriff in Knox County. Right now, we want you to meet the 4 Republican candidates, but first, the rules for our discussion this morning. No interruptions. Candidates will have 1 minute to introduce themselves. We'll then move on to questions where they'll have 30 seconds to answer. And near the end, we will have a short closing statement. Rebuttals will happen at my discretion. There's a lot at stake in this election. Again, voters electing the new head of the largest law enforcement operation in East Tennessee. The Knox County Sheriff's Office oversees almost 1,000 people, a multi-million-dollar budget, about 10% of the overall county budget. And the 4 Republican candidates are with us now, all veterans of varying degrees in law enforcement. Each of you will have a minute to tell viewers why you are running and your goal in the office. We did draw names in the chairs at random, so guess what? We are starting with the way you walked in. David Amber, you're going to lead us off. You have 1 minute.
My name is David Amber, and I'm currently serving as the Chief of Detectives at the Knox County Sheriff's Office, where I've consecutively served for the last 34 years. And I'm a Knoxville native, born and raised here, and now I'm helping raise my 5 grandchildren here. So,
and your goal for the office?
To push the agency into the future of Knox County as we are expanding in size dramatically, and to lead the agency into this next generation of law enforcement.
Mike Davis, same question to you. Introduction.
Yes, sir. My name's Michael Davis. I'm married, have 3 children, 2 grandchildren. I was raised in South Knoxville, went to University of Tennessee, worked for the Knox County Sheriff's Office for approximately 5 years, starting corrections, then became certified. After that, I was hired as a federal agent with the Drug Enforcement Administration. Worked with DEA for approximately 26 years and retired this past September 24. My vision for the Knox County Sheriff's Office, it's about safety and security of the people of our community. That's the overriding issue, and that's what I get, the most feedback on. So, and that will be reflected in my leadership style as the sheriff.
Brent Gibson, you have 1 minute, sir.
Brent Gibson, I'm also running for sheriff. Came here in 1992 to play football at the University of Tennessee. Graduated from the University of Tennessee with a degree in sociology. Hired on at the Knox County Sheriff's Office. Met my lovely wife there, Crystal Gibson. We had 2 lovely children, Skylin and Emery. Skylin's getting ready to graduate from the University of Tennessee herself as a chemical engineer, and Emery is in nursing school at Carson Newman. I worked for 25 years before retiring from the Knox County Sheriff's Office. Worked 17 years on patrol as a patrol officer, patrol supervisor in many different facets, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and then finally was promoted to chief and was over I was the director of training at the Knox County Sheriff's Office all the time for 20 years on the SWAT team as an entry team leader, and then later as the SWAT team commander. And like these guys, I want to make Knoxville and Knox County the safest place to live in East Tennessee.
We'll get to more of the specifics. Certainly, Jimmy J.J. Jones, you're running. Why?
Yes, I grew up in Knoxville. Went to West High School, graduated from the University of Tennessee with a master's degree in criminal justice. Started to work for the Knox County Sheriff's Office in 1980. Worked there for approximately 34 years. Where I didn't work in all the positions at the Sheriff's Office, but certainly a lot of them. I worked 6 years at the Knoxville Police Department. I was an initial member of the cold case unit. Phil Keith tapped me to be on that unit, and we solved about 4 murders that had been unsolved. So I was the sheriff from 2007 to 2018. We in Knox County have a great law enforcement community. Both the city police officers and the county officers are very well trained, and they do a really good job, and I just want to continue that effort.
Gentlemen, thank you. I want to get to our list of questions. And again, David Amber, we'll start with you. What is the most pressing challenge facing Knox County Sheriff's Office for this? You have 30 seconds, sir.
I believe the big part of it is the explosion of our community in size. All the people that we've been voted one of the best places in the country to live, and unfortunately the development, the infrastructure that has coming to us, I believe that law enforcement has to be part of that infrastructure conversation, and that's why I believe it's important as sheriff to be able to not only support and maintain the sheriff's office itself, but you also have to be able to talk to your community leaders, the mayor, commission, and so forth, and making sure that we're part of that conversation as we build the infrastructure to how Knoxville is exploding in size, because we don't want to get behind in that.
Mr. Davis.
The most challenging issue to me is narcotics and the violence associated with narcotics in our community. It's expanding greatly. We have a pipeline from Detroit and Chicago coming down to our community. It seems like every day there's a new opiate out on the horizon. But also, we're expanding. Our population is expanding. So we have to meet those increases with expanded operations in corrections, in law enforcement across the board.
Frank Gibson, how about you? Most pressing challenge for the Knox County Sheriff's Office?
So one of the most pressing challenges obviously include everything that they said, but the homeless situation in Knox County, which ties up in narcotics and the mental illness that we're trying to deal with as a population. And we've got to figure out as a society, as a community, on how to help these people. We're currently housing most of those people in the Knox County detention facility, and that's not the right place for them to be.
How about you?
The most important thing, I think, is we need to fill the positions at the sheriff's office. Currently, we're down about 100 positions at the sheriff's office. We have about 40 or 45 in the pipeline to be hired, but we're having to take from other units to put on patrol so we can keep our patrol level at the status it needs to be. We need to fill these positions so we can do the other things that we need to do to keep our community safe.
We'll talk more about recruiting in just a second. Let's move quickly, Mike Davis, to this question. Should the Knox County Sheriff's Office play a larger role in immigration enforcement on the street, or leave that to federal immigration officers?
No, in my opinion, we need to be proactive and work with ICE. We have a huge criminal, illegal alien element in our county, and I saw that firsthand as a federal agent for a quarter century in this county. So yes, we must work with ICE. We have the jail model, which we're currently in, and we also have the task force model. And I'm in favor of both of those, but the task force model does require additional funding.
And you would like to expand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gibson, your perspective.
So the 287G, Sheriff Jones actually implemented that during his tenure, and we do a great job on that, but we've not yet picked up the task force model. And there's three different models: the task force, or the jail model, the task force model, and then you got a third model that will let you actually organize warrants and go out and find those people. The federal government actually gives you funding to train those people, and those people are just a part of your staff. So you can have those people on regular patrol, and then they can come over and run those people that you may feel that may need the attention of, hey, are they an illegal alien or not? And then we can hold those people for ICE.
Your perspective.
And I'm the same way. I think the task force model needs to be implemented. When we started, the jail model was the only model available. The task force model is what we send our people to be trained by the federal government, by ICE agents. They're credentialed and licensed just like a federal agent. So with 3 or 4 people of patrol officers on each shift, when someone who is an illegal immigrant is stopped, then one of those trained officers can immediately go to the scene and start the process of the deportation. So I'm certainly for the task force model.
David Amber, your perspective.
It's a complex question that a lot of people ask us. And I think the important role that the sheriff has to decide is balance. And what I mean by that, our primary goal with the sheriff's office that we are tasked with is keeping our community safe and answering those calls for service. And that we spend a large amount of our time doing that. If we tilt too aggressively towards the ICE platform, although I am in support of it and the 287G program as we are doing it now. And I think you can always reassess periodically to see if the next level is appropriate for us. But I think the main concern is to make sure we keep that balance, that we're not taking our patrolmen and women away from their primary calls to keep the community safe.
Brent Gibson, what would be your approach different from your competitors here for this top job?
So I'm a more hands-on guy. I'm feet on the ground. I would never ask any of my employees to do anything I wasn't willing to do. You know, I was every level on patrol in the field, a sergeant, lieutenant, captain, worked on the SWAT team. So I'm there. I'm coming to work every day. I'm there for my people and the citizens of Knox County.
I think, you know, when we look at this, we see that this is a tough job. $115 million budget, 1,000 employees, 1,200 prisoners in a jail that's the size of a state prison. We have to look at things, and I think what I bring is stability. I've done the job. The Knox County citizens have elected me to this position, and I've done the job, and I can do the job again.
Chief Amber.
I believe it. I agree. It's a very tough job, and here again, it's about the balance of everything. And that I don't want to overuse that term, but you definitely have to. My experience has been from the very beginning, my whole career until now, is I'm definitely a hands-on person. Like Brent, I won't ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself, and that I still continue today as the chief of detective. I'm out and about, whether it's day or night. I get out. I'll back up a patrolman. I believe in that work ethic. And I believe that we should be there to support the men and women of the agency, and the more we take care of them, the more they're better to serve the community and keeping our community safe.
Mike Davis.
I've been called somewhat of an outsider because I haven't worked at the sheriff's office for approximately 28 years, but I view that as a positive, because I can come in with a different perspective and offer differing discernment and objectivity as to what the sheriff's office needs to do. I'm going to base my leadership on merit of the officers. I'm going to stand behind the men and women of the sheriff's office, and and support them in every way that I can.
J.J. Jones, what part of the sheriff's budget would you trim?
You know, when people ask that, it's hard to say, because a lot of a part of the budget is equipment and things that we have to function. We can't trim those things. The only place that we can trim is employees. And like I said before, we're 100 employees down right now. So we certainly can't stand to lose any employees. So when people say the sheriff's office budget is fat and it can be trimmed, I've looked at it. I looked at it for 11 years. It's just not there. The things that we have to maintain our safety for our community, we have to have those types of equipment. So it's not like any other job. These are things we have to have.
David Amber.
It's a $114 million budget. 93 million of it is salaries and benefits right off the bat. So we're actually only using about 15% is operations of the sheriff's office. And as JJ stated, that's it's really kind of amazing when you look at what we do as a sheriff's office with that little amount. We spend $2 million a year just in the retention of our body cameras and our tasers. We spend a couple $1 million on vehicles every year. We spend $1 million on just gasoline, $1.2 million every year. We spend almost $4 million in our correction facility just for food, and $1.75 million for medication. So I'm the same thing from reviewing it. There's not a lot other than people pushing us to start cutting services, and certainly that's not what we want to do in our community.
Mike Davis, any fat in this budget?
Well, with the influx of people coming to Knox County, which I think I saw something where like 400 or 500 a month, so we need to increase our officers, our correctional staff, patrol units to meet those challenges. You may look over the budget with a fine-tooth comb and do find some areas that we can reduce spending, but overall the sheriff's office is facing increased challenge every day.
Your perspective?
Yeah, there's always places you can cut. There's some vehicles and things like that. But like Mike Davis was saying, when I was hired in 1999. There was more employees working at the Knox County Sheriff's Office than there is right now. And our population has grown at least 35 to 40% in size.
We're going to get more from these candidates who'd like to be the next sheriff of Knox County. We're going to take a quick break. My colleague John North will be back to ask some questions from our viewers. You filled us in on what you'd like to hear from these men. We're back with that right after this. to a special edition of Inside Tennessee. Glad you're with us. John North back, my colleague, ready to ask 4 Republican candidates for Knox County Sheriff some questions from our viewers.
John, thank you. Yes, we got dozens of people who weighed in with questions that they wanted us to ask you all. We don't have time for all of those, but they did have some good ones. And the first one that I'm going to ask you that comes from viewers is this. There was some concern about the sort of the good old boy system in the Sheriff's Department and ensuring that everybody lives by the rules and is held accountable for their behavior. There were allusions made to, as you all know, because many of you worked with him, the former chief of narcotics, who was prosecuted federally for improper conduct. So the point of the question from viewers is, how do you ensure that you have a culture, a work environment where people don't do things like that again and are held accountable? David Amber, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, as far as money-wise, we use certain practices. We have many levels of different auditing, both internally, both with Knox County. We have outside agencies that audit us and during all those different fronts across the financial thing. We also use a separation of duty policy here again to set that check and balance to make sure that somebody is not improperly using funds. I think here again, it starts at the top and filters down as far as accountability, and the people that you put in place as your administration and the message that you're passing down, that you want to ensure the citizens of Knox County that their tax dollars are being spent correctly.
Thank you. Mike Davis.
Like I said earlier, I'm viewed outside the bubble of the Knox County Sheriff's Office, okay? I haven't worked there in nearly 28 years. My last 24 years, retired in September, was with a federal agent with DEA. So I bring a different perspective to the table. It's going to be based on merit, okay? It's going to be based on transparency, professionalism, and integrity. And that's what I had to adhere to in my career, all right? And one element that I'm going to stress in that is auditing of the various departments quarterly and yearly, so we can catch those mistakes when they happen. And again, there's no factions behind me, okay? I'm running for this position, and there's no one behind me pushing me for this position.
Frank Gibson.
Make no means about it. I'm known for my accountability. As director of training, I've held everybody accountable at one time or another, whether they like it or not. And like David said, it starts at the top. And if you can if you can impress that integrity and accountability, your people are going to follow suit.
J.J. Jones.
And make no mistake about it, it's like David said, there are checks and balances all over the Sheriff's Office. Every time we turn around, there's an audit. We have a great financial director who stays on top of all that stuff. I'm not sure that we could be any more transparent than we are at the Sheriff's Office, or at least when I was there. I'm sure there are things that can be done different, but I think we have a great accountability and great checks and balances on how things work.
Thank you. Gentlemen, the next question is one that's been on the minds of everybody, I think, or a lot of people, not just in the county but in the city, because it's an issue that's dealt with pretty much on an ongoing day throughout Knox County. Brent Gibson, you mentioned it, and it's the question of homelessness and what should be done. We see people on the streets here in the city, but they're also living in camps, etc., out in the county. So, Mike Davis, let me start with you as sheriff. What specific kinds of things do you think the sheriff's office ought to be doing that can help address or work to help the problem?
Well, I have compassion for the homeless, but the homeless, you have a right to be homeless, but the homeless activities shouldn't supersede the rest of the taxpayers in this county. So we need to address the criminal element of the homeless, and also we need to offer the homeless help, whether it's the mental issues or the drug issues that they are facing. There's disease in some of these shanty towns, and we need to offer them help.
Brent Gibson.
Yeah, like I said before, the homelessness is out of hand, and we're concentrating on the people that live under the bridge and in the bushes. The real homeless, for me, are the single mothers living in their car with their 2 children. Mm-hmm. That's the homeless that we need to really go after and help those people. But just like David said, we have to police the homeless.
JJ?
Yeah, we have to have cooperation with the city and the county both in this. When I was a sheriff, we had inmates who went out and tore these shanty towns down. You don't realize how many people and how many of those camps exist. So we have to have a cooperation with the city and the county. There are places inside the city that provide services for these people. And we got to remember, about 80% of the homeless people are have some kind of mental incapacitation. So we have to keep that in mind too, but we have to be careful not to be an enabler, but to help also and be compassionate.
David Amber.
So I like to point out, first of all, we can't arrest our way out of homelessness. And we should have compassion for all the members in our community. And I think some of the important factors to look at, there is the mental health issue, and there's different classifications of homeless people. You can pull into many gyms here in Knox County at night, and you'll see 8 or 10 cars in the parking lot with shades up across their window, and those people have basically bought a membership for that gym, because they're living out of their car, and they go in the morning and they take a shower and they go to work, and many people around them don't even know that they're suffering. And then we have the ones that is probably more noticeable by other citizens are the ones that are on their doorsteps of their businesses and are approaching them in parking lots. So it's a very complicated situation. The sheriff himself cannot solve it, and everybody in the community has to work together and use the different resources to try to move forward with it.
John, we have time for one more.
Great. There was a question that was submitted that actually, it's a little bit snarky, but there's real meaning behind it, and that is, why do you train your deputies to be so mean? Now, I think the point is this. You guys know, encountering a law officer can be intimidating. It can be scary, and some people would perceive that a deputy, a patrolman, can be an unfriendly or a gruff or a grouchy kind of person, a scary kind of person. What are your thoughts about training that sort of eases that impression and makes people feel more comfortable? I think we start with you, Brent Gibson.
Sure. So after doing it, the chief over training for, the last 8 years of my career, and then before that, I trained all of my career. We don't train people to be mean, obviously. We're firm but polite. We ask, then we tell, and then we make, and and that's the way it's got to be. People do have bad experiences with police officers, and I get that, but for the most part, our guys are polite and courteous and are there to do strictly business.
JJ?
Yeah, and my answer would probably be the same. We don't train officers to be mean. What we train officers to do is to handle a situation. If it can be handled politely, then we handle it politely. If it escalates to a situation where they have to do something further, then we train them to do something further. So it's a fine line, but our officers have to be, and that's why it's a tough job. They have to be able to go both ways in a moment's notice. David?
I assimilate being an officer almost like one of our canines. You have to be able to turn a switch on and turn a switch off in a matter of a second. And that's easier said than done sometimes. These men and women are responding to a wide array of calls, and 1 minute you're just stopping a speeder, and the next minute you're fighting somebody behind their vehicle or behind a house at night. So we should always strive to be professional, and the saying "firm, fair, and consistent" is something we should all strive for. We have lots of different human beings working for us. Some of them have military backgrounds, and sometimes when you have backgrounds like that and a lot of years in law enforcement, sometimes to shield ourselves against some of the things we see, we kind of detach some emotions sometimes, and we don't mean for that to come out on somebody else. It's just our focus when we roll up on a scene.
Mike Davis.
I've never seen in over 30 years someone mistreated, and that starts in corrections at the old penal farm up through being a federal agent for approximately 26 years. What I have seen is officers, agents, correctional staff put it on the line for the people of this country and our community. Sure, there's some small incident that may happen where someone could have maybe said or done something a little bit different, but overall all I've seen is the utmost regard for law enforcement for the community.
My colleague John North will be back with more viewer questions in just a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break. Back with more for the candidates for Sheriff of Knox County on Inside Tennessee. Welcome back to this special edition of Inside Tennessee with 4 men who want to be the next sheriff of Knox County. We continue our questions right now with J.J. Jones, and you brought this up. Does Knox County have enough deputies right now? You said no. Well, let's talk about how you would recruit and retain deputies. What's your strategy?
I think the first thing we need to do is we need to look to the military. People who have left the military, I'm talking about younger guys that started when they were 21 in the military and spent 20 years in the military, and now they're in their mid-40s. They're seasoned, they're trained. Those are people that we can take and mold into the way we need them to be deputies. As I said before, we're about 100 officers down in our complement of officers. We have about 40 or 50 in the pipeline, but we still need 40 or 50 more. So we've got to have these numbers so we can beef up the places that we need to put people back in that we've had to take to put on patrol.
David Amer.
To drill down on those numbers a little bit, we've got approximately 22 correction positions right now available and 25 on patrol. With that being said, we also just started another round of academy at the sheriff's office, so we have 12 or 13 candidates that are in there that will be filtering through, and upon graduation will be coming out. Obviously, retention and recruitment has become huge, especially since COVID. We have the new generation coming online in the workforce. We're seeing the younger 20-year-olds that are coming into our agency, and they think a little bit different. They have their own ideas and goals and everything, and so we have to listen to that. As the sheriff, you've got to make sure that your people that are doing your recruiting and hiring, that we're paying attention to what's important to them to attract them to our agency.
Mike Davis.
In terms of recruiting, we do need to reach out to area colleges and universities to show, what kind of programs that Knox County offers. And I want to add something to that. It's also about leadership, okay? In that the rank and file know that the sheriff has their back, and he will disseminate promotions based on merit, not based on favoritism.
Rick Gibson.
I view it pretty simple. And recruitment and retention is just a couple of different things. You got to get them here, all right? You got to get them benefits, benefits that matter. We got to change our pay scale. Our pay scale is ridiculously big and out of fact, but we got to give them something else, and things like education incentives and things like that we don't do that other places offer. TCRS and other things like that are very important to keep officers here.
Let me just do a quick check. What do you think of all of you? I'm going to go down the line, but let's start with you. What do you think is a fair base salary for Knox County deputy?
So we start out at a pretty good salary now. The problem is that our pay scale has got so many steps in it. It takes somebody a long time to get to where they're making a living good enough to have a family and children and pay for the necessities.
So that's too protracted, that jump. And
It is the same. This sheriff has done a great job of getting pay up. The pay is comparable now, but it's like Brent said. You can work at the sheriff's office, and 3 years from now, somebody hire in and make almost the same amount of money that you're making after you spent 3 or 4 years here. So that's got to change.
What's your perspective on that?
I agree also with our pay scale. A huge thing that I would like to do as sheriff is to set clear, defined career paths for our men and women. They've got to know when they come here again, the ones that are here and the ones that we're trying to attract, like Brent said, is they need to know that they can count on that, because for so many years here in Knox County, the only way to get a substantial pay raise to support your family is you have to get promoted, and there's only so many of those promotions going around. So we need a defined path for these men and women to be able to check off that every so many 5 years or whatever that we come up with. That's what I'd like to develop in order to ensure that they have goals that they can reach in their career.
Your perspective on pay?
As sheriff, I work with county commission and the mayor's office to try and outline a payment program and have goals within my first term to offer pay increases for corrections and certified officers.
All right, we're back to you, David Amber. I'm going to lob this question out here, which is a fun one. If people in Knox County had a chance to vote on a property tax increase that would send all of the new money directly to boosting the starting pay for deputies, would you vote for it, and would it pass?
Oh, wow, that is a hot one. That's a hot potato. Yes, as a taxpayer myself and a citizen of Knox County, really when you look at it, it's basically, if I remember the numbers correctly, for an average home of $440,000, if you raised it to where we need to do a lot of those things, you're talking about less than $100 a year, or right around $100 a year. I, as a citizen that has a family and grandkids here, would gladly pay $100 more, whether it was up front or through my mortgage payment, for the next year to make sure that my kids and family were safe. So yes, I would.
I'm not in favor of a tax increase because you got families out there struggling across the board, okay? What I would look into would be the budget, okay, for cuts. That would be my primary focus, not raising taxes on hardworking families.
You did say that there's not a lot to cut there from your perspective.
Well, once I'm inside the Beltway, I will be able to see more avenues to trim.
Understood. Mr. Gibson?
The short answer is yes and yes. And the men and women of the Knox County Sheriff's Office, both in the correction division and on patrol, are well worth the sacrifice. And we live in one of the only places in America that I know of that really appreciate our police officers and sheriff deputies.
Sure. Yeah, and that may be a better question you say for the mayoral candidates.
Yeah, but I want to know from you.
That would be one that would have to propose the tax increase.
But if voters could decide.
Absolutely. Okay. I would vote for it, and I've seen it as sheriff. And it's just like I said, I tell people every day, people in Knoxville and Knox County don't realize, but some of them do, how great law enforcement they have, both at the city and the county law enforcement. We're blessed to be living in a place that has the quality of law enforcement that we have here.
As law enforcement officers for a long time, Mike Davis, I want to go to you with this. You have seen recidivism, where people get in trouble, they are taken to an institution, serve some time, get out, and then go right back into the jail or prison. What do you say about the cost of that, and how do you attack that problem?
Well, a lot of it is treatment, okay? People that are drug addicts, okay? You have to have those resources to treat those people. And it's also the influx of narcotics into our community. So, strengthening, enforcing our narcotic measures and going after those cell heads and distributors that are distributing narcotics to the people in our community.
Brent Gibson, your perspective on recidivism.
So we have a great program in our jail, and and the jail ministry helps a lot. So we have great people, great volunteers in Knox County that come in and they do an outstanding job. We do need to bring back some of our jail workforce and give these guys a mission and a sense of worth, give them something to do and a sense of pride to be a Knox County citizen.
Yeah, and we started programs when I was sheriff. We started programs to help them get their driver's license. We started programs to help them get their GED. Those are all things that they need to go into the community and be productive. If you don't have a driver's license, how are you going to get to work? How are you going to, you can't depend on somebody else. If you don't have a high school education, where are you going to get a job? So those are programs that have to be started at the jail. And anybody that we can reduce from coming back again, we're not like the Holiday Inn. We don't want you back again tomorrow. When you leave, we want you to leave.
Your perspective, David Amer.
We have over 350 different people that come throughout our facilities, both of them. And we do. Sheriff Spangler and the past administrations, there's been good concentration on that. I believe we can always look for ways to be better, but we have an incredible amount of resources that come through our facility. We even have one that specializes with veterans and everything. So there's many, many different areas they target in trying to help these people to get back on their feet and stay on their feet and not make the poor decisions that landed them in there. And of course, addiction's a huge one.
So what I'm hearing from all of you is keep leveraging these programs that are already in place. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Brent Gibson, let's talk about this institution, and some of you have raised this. For years, the largest institution with the most number of people in mental health and substance abuse crisis has been the Knox County Jail. How do you reduce that?
So first of all, it starts at the state level. We have to be better funded, and we have to. So they took away our mental institutes about 12, 15 years ago with Lakeshore and Peninsula, and that's where we transported those people and got them out of our jails. Now we're having to drive to Nashville and Chattanooga to Moccasin Bend to do that at the sheriff's office expense.
And when we closed places like Lakeshore, all we did was change where these people were actually staying physically. It wasn't like they got cured. When they left Lakeshore, they came to our jails. So we just picked up the excess of what they had. They either went to our jails or they went to the graveyard, one of the two. And the money is just not there for these mental health programs. And that's where it starts, is the funding.
David Amber?
Without doubt, losing Lakeshore and Peninsula was, everybody can see the trickle-down effect that's had over the years, and especially us in law enforcement. It has been and Brent's right, the state did send some funds back to us. We have, what we refer to as the B Hut that's over off Western Avenue. That's a location that we can get some services like that. But literally our pod at the sheriff's office has turned into one of the bigger mental health places in Knox County, unfortunately. And we have to have that staff in order to, help those people. But definitely this ties right back into the homeless situation we were talking about earlier. That's a huge part of it that we have to face here in Knox County and try to come up with answers working together.
It's about bricks and mortars at the state level. I talked with Senator Massey, and I think she's got something in the works to supply approximately 100 beds to address the mental issue. I've also toured the facilities at CARM on Broadway, and they're doing some good things down there. But one thing I would like to see would be a collective of all the agencies working together in uniform to attack the situation.
We only have one question left before we have to take a quick break, but Mr. Jones, we talked about this at the top of our conversation, immigration. It's our understanding from our reporting that immigration holds actually cost the county money. We don't get as big a reimbursement as we might from the federal government for holding people who are on an ICE hold. Is that hurting the county, and how should that change if true? It's
my understanding that the contract with our jail is that they pay us $114 a day for every prisoner we house for them. It costs us about $110 to keep a prisoner in jail. The state pays us approximately $43. So you can see the difference. While we're trying to house federal prisoners, at least they're paying their way, and it's not being a burden on the taxpayers. But at $43 a day from the state, these people stay in there a lot longer, and the federal people pick their prisoners up within 48 hours.
David Amber, how about you?
Yes, the state's $41 a day. Federal pays us $114. The cost of being there at the agency and seeing up-to-date figures, they figure around $140 a day would be what it cost us to incarcerate. However, that's a little deceiving because depending on the resources that those individuals need drives that cost up or down on each individual. And the federal ones that are coming in like such for ICE, they're only there for 2 to 3 days. They pick them up and they don't require the same, during that time period, there's no way for us to do intense medical background and other services that they may need for their mental health and everything else. So the cost is lower than that. And we brought in about $11 million last year from the state and federal from housing those inmates.
Your perspective on that?
From what I've been able to ascertain, inmates at the state level, we need to press upon the state to pick these inmates up so we don't have these huge overrides in cost and lost costs. And the people, the county, they want violent offenders incarcerated, okay? They don't want to hear about the budgeting issue. They don't want these offenders on the streets. And that's what we need to focus on.
Brent Gibson?
Yeah, just like these gentlemen said, it's a big deal. The 287G is a big deal, and it's it's only getting worse. And the thing about it is we're not losing any money by housing those people. They do take up space, and at a jail that's it's supposed to be 800 at max, and they're always at about 1,200. It is a concern. Do we need to build another pod? It's something we may have to look at, but that's going to take money.
We're going to take another quick break on Inside Tennessee. Appreciate the frank conversation with all of you gentlemen who'd like to be the next Knox County Sheriff. We're back with John North right after this. Welcome back to this special edition of Inside Tennessee. My colleague John North back with us with more viewer questions for the candidates for Knox County Sheriff.
John, thank you. As I mentioned, we did get a lot of viewer questions, and we really appreciate that. Some very good ones. Can't ask them all, but this one I liked. Somebody said, hey, they would like to see, actually more than one somebody, more transparency and openness from the next sheriff in terms of how he operates it. It's going to be one of you four. We know that now. So here's what I would like to ask you. One suggestion was have a regular press conference or press availability or public availability where the public could ask questions. There may be some other examples of openness and transparency that you can institute. David Ambern, we're going to start with you. The people would like to see more transparency.
That word's become kind of broad. I think transparency means a lot of things. I kind of relate it to the character of your agency. And I believe it's important here again with the audits and everything that we do. I think there's plenty of them in place. I believe that I'm not against maybe having a quarterly town hall meeting or something where people could come and ask those questions and everything. But really across the board, we have a lot of information that's discoverable if people want to go to those resources and look at it under the Open Records Act and everything else. There's a lot of it if they have a specific question that they can go to. If they want to learn something more about how we're spending money or what we're doing, it's all put in the county budget every year. But I would not be opposed to maybe doing a quarterly thing like that in the community where they could come and ask certain questions and everything.
Mike, what do you think?
My career has embodied transparency. All right, I had top secret security clearance for approximately 26 years. All right, I had to have 2 polygraph tests when I was first hired. All right, so I lived that, being under the microscope, and everything that I did, whether it was seizing dope, seizing assets, went through 3 levels of adherement. And I've also said numerous times I'll have quarterly and yearly audits of the various departments so that we can catch these mistakes before they become problematic.
Brent?
Very simple. Communication, open door policy. People just want to be heard, and I want to listen. There's nothing wrong with talking to the citizens of Knox County, and mean what you say and say what you mean.
JJ, you've done this before. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Knox County Sheriff's Office is a very transparent agency. We implemented body-worn cameras before anybody did, before George Floyd, before they became mandatory. We were the first to give the media copies of the body cameras that they wanted. So of course, you can always be more transparent, and no matter what. But I think we do an excellent job, and certainly not opposed to talking to the public at any time.
Next question is a pretty simple one, and Mike Davis, will start with you. What is the first significant thing that you plan to do if elected sheriff when you enter office?
As sheriff, I will take a 90-day period roughly and go through all the administrative enforcement operations of the Knox County Sheriff's Office and ask those people directly where are areas that we can improve or what areas are problematic, and get their input before we make decisions on any type of policy or personnel change. Also, reach out to the public and civic leaders and to see where their concerns are and where they may have avenues that we can provide service and safety to them.
There are many things at the Knox County Sheriff's Office that are going to come to attention, but right off the bat, I worked there my whole entire adult life, and changing the pay scale is at the top of the list. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some funds. It's going to take some talking to the county commission and the mayor's office, obviously. But you have to make it a priority.
Yeah, and I think also you have to talk to the supervisors, and you have to find out the men and women are in positions that where they want to be in those positions. It's like the school division. That's not something you can just put somebody in the schools. Those are people that have to want to work in those divisions. So I would certainly sit down and talk to people and make sure that they were doing the jobs that they wanted to do and that they felt comfortable in.
David Amber?
I would like to reestablish some of the proactive divisions that we had within the agency prior to COVID, now that our numbers are getting back up. And I would also like to look at creating some new ones to keep our community safe. Specifically, I would like to develop a quick response team that is made up of our SWAT team members that will be out during the prime time that schools are open to respond immediately to serious threats and incidences to our school, along with our other men and women, but they would be highly trained. And I also share, as I stated earlier, the career path. We're not going to get money every year for our deputies. That's not a reasonable expectation. There's only so much money in the county budget. So we have to look for these other ways to retain and to have these different steps in their career that can get them through their career and have goals.
Time for one last quick question.
Sure. Last question. JJ, you touched on it. That's the issue of body cameras. And as I was watching you all, I was thinking, I don't think you guys have ever worn a body camera, probably, have you? But here's my question, and I guess it will be starting with Brent Gibson. About 14 months ago or so, Sheriff's Office was involved in a raid in South Knoxville at a house. I think SWAT officers were in. They were not wearing body cams. After that happened, that resulted in a young man's death. He was armed, I believe, and there were drugs found in the house. Sheriff Spangler made the decision to put the SWAT guys in body cams. My question is this. You become the sheriff. Do you add more body cameras? Do you keep what you have? Do you take them away? They have become so much a part of what the public expects to see.
Right. Yeah. So part of being transparent is body cameras. They expect it now. There's no way you can go backwards. Everybody needs to wear body cameras, including supervisors, and there's no reason not to. Body cameras have helped us more than they've hurt us.
Yeah, exactly. I would echo those same thoughts. Like I said, when we started this, we were the only agency around here that had them. And we were lucky to get in on the ground floor. It saved us a lot of money. They're very expensive, and they're very expensive to maintain. But there's no reason that this day and age that no officers should be out there without a body camera. And it's like Brent said, they've helped us more than they've hurt us.
We have been committed to it. Like I said earlier, we spend over $2 million a year on the retention of that video and those downloads from that and the taser. So it is a significant amount of our budget. However, we've just instituted in the last couple of months, we are also going back to adding the in-car camera due to the fact that the body-worn camera is not always especially when you're driving down the road, if there's a car accident or something that is not portrayed on there. So here again, I feel like we're being as transparent as possible, and like JJ said, you can always look for new ideas, but we're starting, and that's a significant investment because that means more data stored and the more cost for the hardware, but we're starting to add them to the cruiser so they will have both.
Mike Davis.
As a federal agent, I wore a body camera for approximately my last 2 years, and before that I didn't. But I've used that as a tool to help protect law enforcement because you can see clearly or most times, what has transpired. So I look at it as a means to help law enforcement conduct their activities.
We move quickly to closing statements. You all have been generous with your time. We're going to start with J.J. Jones. Your closing statement on why people should vote for you for sheriff in this primary.
Well, first of all, thank you all for having us. I'm sure we all enjoy this, and it's good for the public to get to know us. This is the first time that I can remember that there were ever 4 candidates that run for sheriff. So it gives the people the opportunity to do their homework, to hear from each one of us, and to pick who they feel is the best one. As I said before, I think what I offer is stability. The people of Knox County have elected me sheriff before. I've been sheriff. I've done the job, as we talked about before. It's not an easy job. It's a $115 million budget. It's 1,000 employees. It's 1,200 prisoners. There's a lot goes on up there, and we need someone in there who provides the stability. And I think I'm that person, and I would appreciate the citizens of Knox County sending me back one more time.
Brent Gibson.
So it's about the community, and I'm all about the community. After retiring from the sheriff's office, I found myself coaching football at my local high school at Gibbs High. Both of my girls graduated from Gibbs High School, and I coached the offensive line up there. And you know, the impact with the kids is something special and something I endear. You know, making men out of those kids and giving them a fighting chance and having them look up to somebody. But I want everybody to understand that I love this city, I love this county, and we live in the most beautiful and the most sacred place in the United States.
I spent over 26 years fighting and dismantling violent narcotic trafficking organizations and the secondary crime that's derived from their activities. And I'm going to continue that fight as your sheriff. All right? This is a calling for me. I view the people of this county as my extended family. And I also said that, you know, I'm outside the bubble. I'm going to be able to come in and offer a different perspective and have more discernment as to what, you know, the sheriff's office needs.
David Amber.
I've spent my 34 years serving the citizens of Knox County, and the sheriff's office is my home. I'm also personally invested in this community, born and raised there, raising my grandkids there, as I said earlier. And I'm willing to accept the responsibility of what it takes to be the sheriff of Knox County, because it's tough, and it's going to be tougher this next time. I think the sheriff is definitely going to have the leadership, the vision to both support the men and women of the agency and the community, and going to have to think out the box. It's not going to be the same patterns that it's been in the past in order for the sheriff's office to survive and for us to keep the citizens of Knox County safe. And I feel like my diverse background of everything that I've hands-on done across the agency, all the different divisions, and my experience with the budget requirements and everything best qualifies me to be sitting here in front of you, that I want to be the next sheriff of Knox County, and I would like to ask for their vote.
David Amber, Mike Davis, Brent Gibson, J.J. Jones, we appreciate your time. You've been very generous with it, and we appreciate your service as well in law enforcement for so many years. Before we go, we just want to remind you the May primary is coming up, and you need to mark some election days and some moments here on your calendar where you have the opportunity to cast a ballot. You can circle those dates. Again, early voting starts really right around the corner, and then Election Day is coming up on May 5th, so we want you to keep those in mind. We'll be featuring more candidates here on Inside Tennessee throughout the weeks to come before the election. For my colleague John North and the rest of us here at WBIR, we certainly appreciate you tuning in, and we hope you turn out and vote for the candidate you think will best serve as Knox County Sheriff. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you next week on Inside Tennessee.